Buying a home can be a pretty stressful process. I've helped dozens of clients this year buy and sell homes, and I've seen firsthand some common mistakes people make when they are trying to buy a home here in Georgia. Hi, I'm Sarah Maslowski. I'm a real estate agent and team leader here in the North Metro Atlanta area, and it's our team's job to help you avoid some of these mistakes and help you have an awesome home buying experience. Now, one of the most common mistakes I see people make when they are trying to decide to buy a home in Georgia is ruling out resale homes. A lot of clients will call up and say that they only want to consider new construction. And I've told y'all a time or two here recently how difficult it can be to nail down a new construction home, especially if you don't have a flexible time frame. There are many more options available for you if you include resale homes in your search. Now, some of the reasons that people tell me that they don't want to consider resale homes is due to the age of the houses. Some people worry that resale homes will come with a lot of issues since it's older, but it's not necessarily the case. Now, if you're only considering new construction homes, you're immediately, really limiting your pool of homes that you can consider. I strongly encourage you, do not rule out resale homes. Now, one thing that you have to keep in mind is that sometimes I'll get clients that are only interested in resale homes with the old saying that things aren't made like they used to anymore. And that sometimes holds very true. Some older homes could have been built by an awesome builder and they have stood the test of time, or you're looking at, a 4-sides brick home, which is going to cost you a pretty penny to pay for today. You also get the uniqueness in neighborhoods with resale homes where you're not going to have like the traditional cookie cutter homes. Some of the new construction homes could also be rushed and not built to that same quality of houses of yesteryear. Now, the reverse of that could be said just as easily though. Some resale homes that are older are showing their age and need things like new roofs and new systems, while in a new construction home, everything's going to be brand new. It all boils down to the builder, so I wouldn't advise refusing to see anything that isn't brand new. If you really had your heart set on something newer, we could add houses that have been built within the last 5 years or so that you're still looking at newer homes and giving you more options. It's all about personal preference. I would not suggest ruling out homes that are greater than 20 years old. You may be missing out on some really well-built houses in some really amazing neighborhoods that have stood the test of time. Consult with your real estate agent. They are going to give you the best advice. Now, another mistake I see is people ruling out homes that have septic tanks. If you rule out homes that have septic tanks, you are cutting out a huge number of options. Because let's face it, septic tanks are very common here in the North Metro Atlanta area, and they're not that big of a deal. Now, they do require some maintenance, but nothing outrageous, and it's only required about every 3 to 5 years. Now, that leads me to the next mistake that people make, which is not requesting a septic clearance letter or having a septic inspection done when buying a home with a septic tank. Yes, whenever they're well maintained, regularly taken care of, they're not an issue. Like I mentioned earlier, it is recommended that you have your septic tank pumped every 3 to 5 years. So if you're interested in a home that has one and the seller has just recently had it inspected and pumped, fantastic. If they disclose that they haven't had this done in, let's say 10 or 15 years, well, we definitely want to make sure you have that done so we can avoid any potential issues in the future. I know a lot of homeowners that don't have theirs pumped on a regular basis and everything's fine until it isn't. One day you've got sewage backing up and, that can turn into an expensive, crappy mess. So it's best to avoid that additional cost by maintaining it frequently, just like you would an oil change on your car. What usually happens when you call to schedule a septic inspection is that they're going to give you a quote of, let's say, about $250 for the inspection. Then once they get there, if the tank is below a certain amount of inches in the ground, which it usually is, they're going to charge you an additional fee to dig that up. I would just go ahead and bank on the fact that having that inspection and having it pumped out is going to be between $400 and $500. If you're going to have it inspected, it makes sense to go ahead and have it pumped at the same time. They're already there. The company's already doing it. It's generally just another $100 or so. So $250 to inspect it, another $150 to pump it out. Go ahead and have it done. This is general homeowner maintenance. It's nothing wild and crazy that you have to worry about, like every 6 months or so. And it's definitely not worth ruling out because you're going to miss out on some amazing homes. One of the things that I have clients talk about is that they want a house with a bigger yard. If you want a bigger yard here in Georgia, the chances are that that home is on a septic system is pretty high. So if you're looking at houses on an acre or a half acre or more, you can bet your bottom dollar that it probably has a septic tank. There are some amazing neighborhoods with amazing houses here that have septic systems. So you're going to be missing out on those neighborhoods if you do not consider those homes. One thing that you do want to note though is if you have plans of putting a pool in, you will want to know where that tank is, or else it might kind of mess up some of those pool dreams. You can investigate that, and sometimes the septic system can be moved to other areas of the yard to make sure that you can put that pool right in the backyard where you want it. Another mistake that I hear about from buyers pretty frequently is that I'll get a phone call from someone who wants to relocate from out of state. I love getting those phone calls. It's my passion. It's my job to help you relocate. And they're wanting to get pre-approved for a loan to buy a house here, but they haven't secured a job first. Now, if you're working remotely and you can work from anywhere, fantastic. If you already have a job offer from an employer here, even better. Not all employers will allow you to work from home, or you may be working from home in your state, but then you decide that you want to go take that job out of state, and well, the employer may have some questions about that. A lender, of course, is going to want to know, how are you going to pay for that house in Georgia? If you're paying cash for the house, they don't care if you're employed or not. Obviously, you won't need a lender in that situation. But if you're wanting to get a loan, you have to have employment here in Georgia. It's a great thing to speak with a lender early on in the process. They can guide you for your situation and give you the best advice. Sometimes if you're staying within the same field, let's say medical field, all you need is an offer letter from an employer here in Georgia. Sometimes though, you may need to show that you've established that job here in Georgia and you've received a paycheck or two. So this may mean that you might move here, rent something for a little bit before you move forward on purchasing your home. And like I mentioned earlier, we do have a lot of people that reach out once they have already secured a job here, which is fantastic and something you definitely will want to consider before deciding to make that move. And it will make it easier for you to secure a home loan for that new house. This next mistake is not one that I have heard of before, but it did recently happen, so I want to make sure that I share this with you. Now, this isn't something that would be an issue if you were relocating from out of state, only if you were moving locally within the same town. One of my teammates has a friend who recently sold their house in a neighborhood and bought a house on a big piece of land that they were going to, put a new home on. The new house that they bought is just down the road from their old one, and they did this process during the summer when school was out. Well, they took their son, who was in elementary school, to the open house to meet his new teacher and to get ready for the new school year. And when they went down to, set up his cafeteria account to add money to it, they had some questions. They were like, wait, what's your address? And so in having that conversation and disclosing it, they realized they were not zoned for the school that they were continuing to be in. So you want to make sure that the house that you are purchasing is in the school district that you are currently zoned for or that you want to be zoned for. And another note about that, Zillow will give you the school zone, but it's not always accurate. Sometimes Zillow is just pulling from the closest school nearby. And here in Georgia, just like whenever you're looking at political districts, the closest thing nearby is not necessarily what you are zoned for. So definitely make sure that you get that information directly from your trusted, great real estate agent. Hopefully that is someone from our team. You do not want to end up like that family who assumed that their kid was going to go to the same school that they've been going to for the past couple of years, and now because they've bought a new house, well, they're SOL. One of the next common mistakes that I see people make whenever they're going through their home search is that sometimes you can be too specific in what you are looking for. So specific, in fact, that you look over the potential of a home or a certain area. If you're relocating from out of state and you've never spent much time here, if any, you might be drawn to a specific area over another based on what you see and read about online. I always recommend coming into town, spending a few days, exploring the town, driving the neighborhoods, to really kind of get a feel of what the area is. I often have clients that come to town and they say that they're interested in one area, but after driving around and after suggesting other areas for them to explore, they realize that they really want to be in these other areas, or they fall in love with the neighborhood in a different area than what they originally set their heart on. When you decide you want to come out and visit and we talk about everything that you're looking for, I can help pinpoint and give you some different areas and places that kind of fit the criteria and the overall feel of what you're looking for, to give you some options of the areas and neighborhoods. If you have school age kids, you might find yourself being a little more constricted on where you want to look in order to stay in a certain school district, but don't rule out other school districts that are nearby. Check out those ratings, explore them as well. Don't get so narrowly focused on one thing that you're missing out on some really great areas that you could be in much easier. Obviously, if you're homeschooling or have kids that aren't in school, that's definitely not going to be applicable to your situation. But I would definitely recommend exploring more options than what you have your heart set on. You also don't want to be fooled by a home's paint colors or the way the current owners have it furnished. This is home, buying 101, but you want to make sure that you can have that vision or have someone else help you with that vision, because you might overlook a really amazing home and it might have something that has an easy fix that you can easily change and make that the home of your dreams. Now, this last mistake that I have seen people make is more of a recent thing because of the way that the market has been. Made tons of videos about that. Make sure that you check it out so that you can, feel really confident and prepared about the market that you are in right now. But the mistake that I have seen is that buyers are not understanding the market that we are in, or they're not as believing of the information that they are being told from their trusted real estate agent. So because of that, they're not quick to move on a home that they really love, or they're not coming to terms with reality of how much they're going to have to pay for that home that they really love. In this market, most homes are getting multiple offers. So if you see a house that you really like that fits your needs, but want to see, 5 to 10 more houses just in case, you're likely going to miss out on that great home. You have to assume that you're competing against other buyers to secure a home, so you can't drag your feet. You also have to assume that you are going to pay over asking price. Not always, but most of the time when you are competing on a home with multiple offers, you're going to pay over asking. People also, look on Zillow whenever they find that house that they absolutely love, and they go to that Zillow's estimate and they say, oh, well, the Zillow's estimate's only here, and therefore I think I'm going to be drastically overpaying. That's not the right information. It's a mathematical model. It doesn't know the interior of the home, doesn't know the neighborhood, etc., etc. Get your agent to give you the best information and advice possible. They can pull recent comps and things like that to help give you that information about pricing. Another mistake that I see people make is that they find a house on Zillow and they fall in love with it prior to them actually coming into town, doing their actual house hunting shopping, and they keep comparing every house they see to that one that was listed 6 weeks ago that's now under contract and it's now someone else's. Sometimes you have to trust and believe in the process that there are many homes out there for you and the right one will come along. You have to be able to kind of release that other home that you fell in love with and just know and trust that the perfect house is going to come along and not get discouraged throughout the process. And lastly, the most important mistake that I see people make is they do not find a local trusted real estate agent. They're picking one off of Zillow, or they're seeing a house listed for sale and they're calling that listing agent. You need to do your research and make sure that you are getting a great real estate agent that knows the market and knows the area. What good is having a real estate agent show you homes and help navigate this market if their area of expertise is in a town that is an hour and a half away, or if you are just calling a random phone number and hoping that you get paired with a really great agent. Make sure that you interview the agent who is going to help you with this move. It's so incredibly important. I recently had another client who was partnered with a referral from an agent in their current town. The agent knew an agent in this area. They partnered together. They went out, house hunting, and they made many offers on homes only to have them rejected time and time again. And finally, the buyer started telling the real estate agent advice that he had got from my videos about how to win in these multiple offer situations. And the agent's like, I never heard of that before. So finally, after their next offer was rejected, they finally picked up the phone and called me, and I was like, I have to ask, why didn't you call me sooner? You've watched all my videos. Why didn't you call? And, and I don't blame them. It was because they had gotten what they thought was a great recommendation from a trusted agent that they worked with in their previous town before they moved. But that still is a very important lesson to make sure that you interview the agent if you're referred to someone, and make sure you feel comfortable with that person. So obviously, if you're moving here to Georgia, reach out to me. I'd love to help you. If it's not an area that is in my team's expertise, I will do that research for you and help partnering you with an agent that you can interview to make sure it's the great fit for you. So, have you moved recently? If so, is there anything you wish you would have known before you made the move, or are there other mistakes that you've made when making that move? Let me know in the comments below. Obviously, my team and I can help you avoid making those mistakes and plenty more. We love working with people from all across the United States. Reach out, call, text, Facebook stalk, however you want to get in touch with us.